What's going on, people? Welcome back to the Uncensored Critic podcast. Today, I am joined by a friend of mine, an actor who is simply at the top of her game. And I'm so honored and so pleased that she's taken time out of her incredibly busy schedule to be with me today. And for anyone who is interested to watch my previous episodes, I had a guy on called Christian Patterson, who worked with me at the National Theatre on a play called My Country, A Work in Progress. And Laura today was also part of that cast where she played Northeast because she's from the Northeast. And
Northeast.
A proud girl from Sunderland and who has made it big time in the industry. And it's a genuine pleasure to have her with me today to talk about her career and her journey into the industry and what is going to happen next. So this is Laura. Let's introduce her. So Laura graduated from the Guildhall School of Music and Drama in July 2004. Also in 2004, she won the Carlton Hobbs Radio Award. And she has a vast selection of theatre, TV, and film credits to her name. In theatre, she has worked on The Lion, the Witch, and the Wardrobe, Rutherford and Son, Young Marks, My Country, A Work in Progress, Jane Eyre, Romeo and Juliet, The White Devil, Virgin, Love and Information, Utopia, Top Girls, A Month in the Country, Pains of Youth, Bedroom Farce, Far from the Madding Crowd, Women of Troy, Glass Eels, Heartbreak House, Scenes from an Execution, Tom and Viv, The Crucible, Lysistrata, Pictures of Clay, Breathing Corpses, and Country Music. And we move on to her TV credits, where she's worked on My Country, A Work in Progress, Vera, The Trial, A Murder in the Family, Called a Midwife, Wendy and Peter, where she worked with Stanley Tucci, SEO Trot, The Suspicions of Mr. Witcher, Holby City, Doctors, My So-Called Life Sentence, Tess and the D'Urbervilles, I hope I said that right, and of course in the feature film as well, where she worked on something called Military Wives Choir with Kristen Scott Thomas, Peter Liu, Leave to Remain, and History Boys, where she worked with the original cast, including Richard Griffiths, James Corden, Dominic Cooper, and Russell Tovey, just to name a few of them. And if that's not enough, she has worked on 4 of the biggest TV shows produced over the last 10 years. And I'm really keen to ask her about her experiences on this one. And those include Des with Daniel Mays and David Tennant, Chernobyl, Line of Duty, and a little known thing called Game of Thrones. And my goodness, Laura, what a career you've had.
It's ridiculous. It's very silly.
How's that silly?
Well, it's just, those two, like, there was a period of time where Line of Duty, Chernobyl, and Game of Thrones came out really around the same time. I mean, I'd filmed them at different times, but they all kind of came out at the same time. And people were like, Jesus Christ. Well, my brother said I was ruining telly for him because he likes to sit and like watch the telly and relax. And he was like, you keep propping up and I'm really getting annoyed because it's on stuff I really like. So I've ruined telly for my brother.
Well, you haven't.
Yeah.
Well, you haven't. I bet secretly he's really proud of you of what his sister's done.
Oh, I'm sure he is. Yeah. Well, there's times where he'll ask little questions about it, but you know, he's a big brother. He can't totally awash me with praise. He's got to keep my feet on the ground, you know.
Oh, yeah. I know the feeling. So yeah, I suppose to begin with today, I'm sure you've probably been asked this question just 1,000,001 times since your appearances on Chernobyl and Game of Thrones, but like to work specifically in the HBO universe on those 2 shows in particular, what was that experience like?
Well, Game of Thrones is weird because you don't get any script. So I auditioned with a script that I got sent something to read. And when I got to the audition, they were like, right, we're going to throw that script away because that's actually nothing to do with what you'll be doing. And we're going to do some improvisation. So I ended up holding hands with the casting director, moving around a chair and pretending to be followed and attacked and trying to save. And he was playing my daughter and I had to it was very strange. It was very weird. I didn't really know what I was doing, but I was holding hands with the casting director, which was hilarious. And so then you don't know anything. And then the second they asked me back in to just have a little read with the girl who was going to play my daughter. Mm-hmm. But it wasn't anything, there's nothing to read. So it was just sit and chat with the little girl. I think they were just making sure I wasn't completely weird with kids, and I could communicate with them, and I wasn't like, oh, children, because, you know, I had to be a protective mother. So that was all weird because it's so secretive. I mean, I didn't find out what I was doing like really close to the time, and I was like, any idea? I would like to see what I'm getting up to, because I'd like to prepare, I'd like to learn lines, I'd like to do all that. So yeah, so Game of Thrones audition was very strange.
Yeah.
And I mean, this company has money, and Game of Thrones has money. And Jesus Christ, the set was like insane. Like, they built an entire city. It was King's Landing. I was there. I mean, I didn't watch Game of Thrones. I don't know Game of Thrones, so I kind of know. There were like loads of people like were getting clues, because of course I was under strict thing not to give anything away. And just by me saying the colour of of the costume I was wearing, one of my mates was like, "Oh, that means you're in King's Landing." That means, and I was like, "Oh God, I've really got to not say anything."
Yeah.
And we did this Comic-Con, and I just ended up, my episode hadn't come out yet. And I just had to, I was like, I can't say anything because I'm going to give something away, because I don't know what these clues mean to fans. So I just was like, I can't say anything on the mic. It's just like, can't say anything. So yeah, I was just paranoid that I was going to give something away, because my plot was quite a big, with, forget the name of the, Arya. No, not Arya. Is it Arya?
Eyre, yeah, Eyre Stark, yeah.
So, played by Maisie, and it was quite a big moment in the fact that, I mean, spoiler if you've not seen it, where King's Landing was kind of destroyed and burnt down. So it was quite a big plot point that I was in. So yeah, I just had to be silent because I knew I'd give something away, and HBO would come after me, and I don't fancy being sued by HBO because they've definitely got more money than I do.
Oh, that's so cool. I mean, because it was like the biggest show in the world at the time, and you know, sadly, I think it's lost a bit of that steam because of the last series and everything that went on. You know, it's amazing how you can just say one little thing, and you know, there's super fans out there who are just on you like that. I mean, I knew someone at university who went to a Game of Thrones quiz one night at our local. And basically said, guys, I'm not going to need you. I'm just going to do everything. And he knew all the answers. I mean, there's somebody who, I mean, I credit to him, but I thought, wow, this show is really going really.
Yeah, it makes people insane, I think.
Yeah, it does. You know, I've had like arguments with my brother over bits in Lord of the Rings and like what that moment in the plot meant and everything else. And it wasn't like afterwards I thought, okay, I probably need to stop that now. This is it's just a film. But whilst I love it, but I think I need to calm down a bit now. Was it similar with when you went for the audition for Chernobyl? Did they say nothing?
No, Chernobyl was a bit more straightforward. We were given, I think we were given a script of the script, like a little bit of it. And yeah, that was quite a nice meeting, because Johan Renck directed it, and Craig Matson, who wrote it, they were, I mean, it was a bit terrifying because like everyone was in the room. This is the other thing about HBO, like the world and their wife are in the room. Like it was the director, it was the thing, it was the casting director, it was the producer, so you walk in, you're like, hey, hello everybody in the world. And yeah, so that was a bit nerve-wracking, but I think I got it because of my surname, because Craig, who wrote it, was like, oh my God, Laura, your name Elphinstone, that's amazing. And I was like, well, it's Scottish aristocracy, you know, it's and he was like, oh my God. And like, I walked out and went, I think I might have got that because of my surname. And I was like, and I look like an elf, so it suits me. I'm at Elphinstone and I look like an elf. It's just like, so I made them laugh. And I think that's why I got it, because I've got an interesting surname that I suit, a surname that I suit. So what I don't know what the acting was like, but at least I made them laugh. So
only you can say that. Only you can say that. But no, the acting was great. You know, I remember just watching the first episode, and again, a bit like, I suppose, like not quite like what your brother would say, but I was thinking, that's Laura. That's Laura. And then 2 weeks later, I was watching Game of Thrones. I thought, well, there she is again. And I even messaged you going, mate, you're in Game of Thrones. And I was like, and you were like, well spotted.
Yeah.
That was incredible. Because I'm curious to know actually, because after watching Chernobyl, because I became really fascinated about that subject, not only because of the event and what happened, but just the way that the Soviet Union just completely manipulated the whole thing. They said that, like, just this is just like at the surface, they say the death toll of the whole thing was just 31 people.
Yeah.
And no,
No. This is what working on Chernobyl was quite hard at times, because you had to keep going, shit, this is real. This actually happened. So the scenes that I did on the Bridge of Death, because we filmed it in Lithuania, and we went on this Britain. It was like, shit, this is what happened. People went closer to look at it because it was beautiful, and they were stepping into horrendous, and they all died on the Bridge of Death.
Yeah.
The entirety. They brought their children closer. But yeah, it was so hard, because you'd kind of forget and you'd get on with your day and you'd be filming and you'd be having a nice time, and then suddenly it would hit you and you'd go, oh bloody hell, like I'm playing someone who died from this, and not only died, but really, really horribly. I mean, the symptoms would, I mean, part of the research, we were sent footage and pictures, and that was just, it was really, really bleak and really depressing. And then, then you start to look into it, and like you say, you see how the government just totally whitewashed it over and essentially killed people, and they died in a very horrible way. So it was a real kind of eye-opener sometimes when, you were having a bit of a whinge, because we did a couple of night shoots, and, it gets to 2-3 in the morning and you're a bit like, I'm really tired, and you go, hang on, my life isn't too bad. It's all right.
Yeah.
Don't whinge too much. You're doing something called Chernobyl. You're playing someone who died a horrible death. So maybe less whingy, Laura, and more worky.
Remember where you are, sort of thing. Yeah.
Yeah.
Because you had a scene where I think you and the guy playing your husband, you had a scene, I think, when you're being evacuated out of your hotel block, and you and everyone around you're holding on to your baby, and everyone in there is covered, their skins red, and it's all, I don't mean to put this in a negative light or bring the tone down here, but it's like, I think one of the symptoms is that the blood capillaries, like, they split open, and so you bleed internally, and your body slowly just shuts down pretty much.
Yeah,
it's a horrible thing.
Really horrible thing where you feel slightly better before the end. So the face swells, it all becomes, but then there's a stage where you go, oh, actually, I'm feeling better, which is really horrible. It's like, oh, yeah. So. Yeah.
And I was just going to, I know that day in makeup, you must have been stood there for ages, as someone just like putting loads of red dots all over your body. And even though what we do is, it's, even though it's a real story, it's like a fantasy telling of a true story, and you're just getting makeup on, you say, this isn't really real. But did you have a moment where, I think if I was in that position and someone's putting all that stuff on me, I'm thinking, what if this was real? And I'm walking out of here knowing I've got something I can't be cured by. And
well, they didn't know. That's the other terrifying thing. They didn't know what it was. And I had prosthetics made for my lips and for my eyelids and all that. So I was in quite a bit, not as long as God, who was the actor who he had a full body thing. And so I had prosthetics on my eyes to make them puffier, on my lips because it made them kind of bigger and swollen. So I had loads of kind of bits to swell my face, as well as having the kind of skin peeling off thing. And it's hard, because at first you're going, cool, look how different I look. And then there's this sudden, like, it was in the hospital, I think that scene you're talking about, where we all have tried to go to the hospital to get people seen, and then we get told to get out. And first of all, the hospital we were in was quite derelict, and it's still a working hospital in Lithuania. And then to see everyone around you, all the kind of essays and, your fellow actors all kind of done, and it was pretty horrible. It wasn't a pleasant place to be. And also what was difficult is I had a little boy, and we had to, in one of the rooms, don't think that scene made it, but in one of the rooms we were sat in, and we had to throw soup everywhere because people vomited a lot, and he was just like, what is going, because it just looked like sick, and I was all done up, and it was just really hard to kind of explain to a child who first language wasn't English that, you know, this is all. So we had to kind of play the game going, oh look, you know, it's sick, just to make it not scary, because it was quite terrifying in the hospital when we shot those scenes. So we had to kind of, you know, try and make light of it for his sake, because every time we called action, everyone was just like, ah! You know, it was pretty terrifying. So yeah, it was a really difficult time to kind of go, it's fine, you're all right, you're safe, but also to take it really seriously. So
wow, I mean, and as terrifying as that is, I mean, what an incredible job to have been a part of, you know. And you know, you were part of a show which really brought to light, because I think there were some people who didn't know about what happened there, and now suddenly really interested. You know, they're watching videos on YouTube, they're researching it, they're listening to, there's the Chernobyl podcast, which I've listened to, which is incredible, but that's with I think is it with David who created it, who created the series, and I think Craig goes on there as well. But no, not David, but it's with the creator and the writer of the show, and it's an incredible listen. If you ever get the chance to listen to it, it's amazing. Yeah, but you know,
I read the script, I was like, oh shit, this is good.
yeah,
Like when we sat down for the read through and we heard it all kind of come together, I was like, I think this is quite good. Yeah, because the script sounded brilliant. It was really beautifully written. They'd worked years on it to get it to where it got to, but yeah, I definitely read the script and went, yeah, this is something.
Yeah. Did you spend much time with oh god, Mr. Harris, who
Jared
Harris? Yeah. Did you spend any time with him?
We had time off because we didn't have any scenes together, but we would often cross over and, you know, share a green room. And bless him, I just remember saying to him, you've got a hell of a lot on your plate. He's like, oh my God. Like after the read through, he was just like, oh God, because I think it was dawning on him how much he had to do, and all the kind of, he had, you know, that courtroom stuff was endless, him, you know, going through the science of it. And yeah, so bless, I said, you've got my sympathy. And he's like, yeah, thank you very much. It's going to be a tall order. So yes, but yeah.
That court scene, I have to say, was I watched it about 3 or 4 times to understand what he was talking about. But that's not a slur on Jared. But I thought he did a fantastic job. He did an amazing, and to hear how it all went down was just incredible. But you know, what an incredible documentary, incredible TV series to be a part of. I mean, must be an amazing thing. Cool. So let's go right back to the beginning. Let's go right back to the beginning for yourself here. Yeah. Where did the spark to be an actor or actress come from? Was it someone from school? What made you want to, what was the spark that said to you, I'm going to be an actor?
Well, to be honest, my dad always wanted to be a professional actor, but was told to get a proper job because it wasn't a thing that people did. And he kind of left school with no qualifications, and he worked his way up from the shop floor in Bush when they'd sold. He was a tailor at one point, and then he worked on a shop floor of electronics and kind of worked his way up and ended up doing that. But then towards the end of his life, he was made redundant, and he decided not to find another job in the electronics business, that he became a professional director up in Sunderland. Wow. But before this, my mum and dad had always done amateur theatre, and my grandparents had done amateur theatre, and my mum and dad met doing amateur theatre, playing a married couple. So it was always kind of in my life. I wanted to be a policewoman. I wanted to be a car mechanic. What else did I want to be? Oh, I wanted to be a professional judo. So, you know, really good jobs like that.
I'd love to fight.
Yeah. Yeah. And then I started to really decide, because I did like a little play, and I was always involved. Like if my dad was rehearsing when they didn't have a babysitter, I'd have to sit in the rehearsal room and watch them do the boring rehearsal. And then I just thought I would like to have a go at that. So I had a go, and then that was it. As soon as I discovered it, I was like, right, that's it. Whatever, I'm going to go to drama school. I'm going to go, because I didn't know how to become an actor. So you look it up, and of course there was no Google. So you're like, I'll ask people, and NYT came up, National Youth Theatre, and it was the first time they started to go to the Northeast. Instead of making people travel down, they went to the Northeast to audition people. And because my mum at the local comp, she was a drama teacher, she was drama and English. She heard that these people called National Youth Theatre were auditioning people to get in. So I went for that and I got in. And that was the real key. I came down to London. We had 3 weeks of absolute mayhem. I'm illegally drank. I was definitely not 18. Definitely got drunk. And lived on super noodles for 3 weeks because I didn't know what I was doing. I was drinking. Yeah, I mean, I couldn't cook anything. I mean, I was like, super noodles I'll do. Smileys, potato smileys and beans.
On toast is better than super noodles, right?
I know, but I was just like, I didn't know what I was doing. I was like, why am I in London?
Yeah, I get it. Yeah, it's fair enough.
People who loved as much as I loved it and took it as seriously as I took it. And that was for me, like, I never want to come back. I just want to do this forever now. That's what I want to do. So it was, and like I did like the Sunderland Amateur Operatic Society. I did Annie Get Your Gun. I did Oliver. I did Annie. I didn't play Annie. Didn't give me the part. Like I did loads of little bits and pieces here and there. But yeah, NYT was the one where I went, oh dear God, this is what I want to do.
Yeah.
How do I make it happen? And so asked around, and they said, go to drama school. So I was like, okay, I'll do that. And then realized that you had to travel for auditions, and it was terrifying, and it was quite hard work. But yeah.
Nice. I mean, and because as I said at the top of the show, you went to Guildhall. You graduated in 2004. How do you describe yourself before drama school and after drama school? What did drama school give you, and what did it take away?
Drama, oh God, it's a whole journey on drama school. I mean, I turned up on the first day and I had my Sunderland shirt with Mackem written on the back, because people are from Sunderland are called Mackems. And that's why all my drama school friends, they call me Max. Yeah. Mackem. I ended up this first year going, I'm a Mackem, not a Geordie. I'm a Mackem, not a Geordie. So Mackem. That name. Yeah. So I kind of turned up as, I would say, pretty unconfident in my abilities. I was like, I think I've chanced it, that's like imposter syndrome of going, how did I get here? But then you go on a journey where they break you down and build you up, all that kind of malarkey.
Yeah.
And then you're told you can't walk properly. You've walked for 18 years and you can't do it properly. You can't breathe properly. You can't talk properly. And I found it tough, and I think I found my first year really hard, because I was one of the youngest in my year as well, because a lot of people had kind of done degrees beforehand or had a couple of years out, and there weren't many 18-year-olds there. And I found it quite tough. Beginning of second year, by mid-second year I started to kind of find my feet. And to be honest, the most I learned, really, I mean, what they did give me is professionalism, how to be on time, not to be late for anything. And people would some say anal about it, but I like timing, looking after my voice. So if I'm doing a long run or if I'm doing screaming and shouting, I know how to warm up my voice properly. I know how to do all that and prepare my body for theatre. I mean, I still warm up a bit when I'm doing telly and things. I do, like, they don't need the projection, but, you don't want to be slurring everywhere. Although I'm sure I have at some point. But yeah, so, and then I came out of drama school, not overly confident again. I didn't quite feel comfortable in my body yet. I was I still didn't quite know what to do with myself. And it was over being out of drama school. I started to find my feet and start to go, and also shed their opinions of you, because it's ingrained for 3 years. They have an opinion of you. And you're reminded of your downfalls, your faults quite regularly, because what they're trying to do is iron those out, rightly so. I can do RP, I can do accents, I can do all that. That's all part of the training, is that they have to know what you're good at and what you're not. What the beauty about stepping out into the real world is, no one knows this yet, and no one has predestined ideas about what you're going to do, or so it's quite nice to then go, thank you very much for this training, and thank you for giving me this. Also, it gave me my agent. I wouldn't have gone with my agent, because we do a showcase and the agents are invited. If I'd stayed in Sunderland and not done any of this, not gone to a decent drama school or drama that would help, then it makes life so much harder. So they gave me that. So essentially they gave me the start of, because my first show was country music, and I left slightly early at the end to go and do that. And that was very strange, but they gave me, because I did something, that casting director saw it at Guildhall, which meant, so it's all that. So they gave me a lot, but in terms of, and I'm still trying to find my confidence now. I still feel absolutely terrified and nervous, and
really,
oh yeah, it doesn't. Yeah, I think it's a weird thing. You'd think, oh, you should be able to relax now because you've done this, and but no, I think I put a lot of pressure on myself. I'm possibly my own worst enemy sometimes, but yeah, anxiety hasn't gone away, but I now have evidence that it is possible, that I can do a big part. I can do that because there's evidence now in my past history. But yeah, it's still terrifying, and it's still a nerve-wracking experience to walk into an audition room, or to have first day on set, or second day on set, or third day on set. It's still absolutely terrifying. But idiots keep employing me, so I'll take that.
No, they know great talent when they see it. They know great talent when they see it.
Oh,
no, I totally, I get that. I'm the same. You'd think that, because who said it the other day? I think it might have been oh God, I can't remember. I think it might have been Polly Bennett. We have a mutual friend in Polly Bennett at don't we? Hi, Polly.
Hi.
And I think she made a very good point once over the first lockdown. She had these coffee mornings on Zoom, and she made a good point by saying that it doesn't matter if you're just starting out or you're Tom Hanks, there's always going to be doubt. You're always going to suffer from that feeling of, can I do this again? Can I do a good job here? There's always that inner anxiety. And I'm exactly, everything you said there was resonated with me, because there's that feeling of going into the room and just thinking, oh God, like you look at everyone else in the waiting room and you think, oh, they're very good. They look more like the part than I do. And it's like,
yeah, forever, always.
Yeah, because I remember I was sent to when I got my first agent, she sent me for a trainer's advert, and they wanted somebody who had a kind of that basketball kind of edginess and stuff like that. And I turn up in my black joggers, black shirt, RP voice, not very flexible. And then I look around the room, and you've got guys there with like the flowing long hair. They got the vest tops on. They got the tan. They got the skateboard there. They look like skater boys, all that kind of thing. And I'm thinking, what the fuck am I doing here? I look nothing like these people. And sure enough, I go into the room and don't do a great job and walk out thinking, oh, that was a waste of time. But all the same, I'm glad to have the experience of that. But I remember thinking, there's a part of me thinking, why did you want to see me exactly for this?
Oh, there's no point in trying to second guess. There's sometimes I've been sent a part and it's like male 40s, and I'm like, huh? Right. And I just go, right, I'm just going to go in and say, I'll ring my agent. The amount of times I used to ring my agent going, really for this? And they go, well, they might be changing around. You go, fine, I'm not going to ask questions. I'm just going to go. But yeah, it's always weird. And also if you go for an audition, especially advert auditions, Jesus Christ, oh, yeah. I've had terrible ones, absolutely terrible. But yeah, you either walk into a room where everyone looks like you, which is weird, or you walk into a room and no one looks like you and you go, why the hell am I here?
Yeah, you're thinking, what? What
Yeah.
am I doing here for?
Yeah.
Oh, that's amazing. So yeah, let's talk about some of the other things you've been involved in. Over the first lockdown, as you all know, the National Theatre released National Theatre at Home, so we could watch stuff in our front rooms, and they encouraged us to charity donations, etc. But they made it available for us to get through that lockdown, because we're all still in that first limbo of thinking, what's going on? We can't go outside, we can't meet anyone. So, but one of those productions was, of course, Jane Eyre, which you were in which transferred from the Bristol Old Vic to the was it at the Littleton that you did it at?
Yeah, it was in the Littleton.
The Littleton, yeah, the National. What was that experience like? Because the experience I have of Bristol Old Vic is that they seem very movement orientated, and that they want to tell the story through movement as opposed to words and description. Would that be a fair thing to say about them, or am I getting that completely wrong?
No, I mean, what it is, it's so Sally Cookson, who directed it, it's all kind of led by her, and we wrote it as well. We devised it and wrote it. So the words I was saying, some of those were scenes, we all wrote together. We started with absolutely nothing. We walked into the room, and she just said, put Jane Eyre down in the middle of the floor, put your copy and put it in the middle of the floor, and tell me what you think of the covers. What does that say about Jane Eyre? What do the covers say about this story? What do we want to say about, And it started from there. So we had nothing. I didn't even know what parts I'd be playing. There was an idea that it was more than likely I was going to be Helen, who very sadly dies because she's from the Northeast. And, my fellow cast members, I'm not going to slag them off. They're amazing people, but their Northeast accents are terrible. Yeah, so that's how we started. So we literally started in a room with the books in the middle of the room and just went, oh, shit. How do we make this epic story? Because it's absolutely epic. And we had storyboards. It is the most exhausting job I have ever done. Yeah. And it's really been one of the most testing jobs, but also it absolutely had my heart. Yeah. Because we had a movement director, Dan Canham, who was working in the room with us. We had Benji Bauer, who was writing the music, in the room with us. Yeah. So it was all created together. So, and, we even get credited saying it was written by the company. And, when it goes on, we get a little, because we share it between so many, we get about 20p, but we get kind of credited with the making of it. So we made it all. And originally in Bristol, it was 2 parts. Yeah. And then when we transferred it to the Littleton, we made it into one whole part. But yeah, it was absolutely exhausting, but a piece that we were so immensely proud of. Yeah. And Sally's it's an extraordinary room to be in, because it's truly collaboration. And what's nice about it is you can become, what I really enjoyed about the job was I was not only actor, but I was writer. I could sit on the other side with Sally in scenes that I wasn't in and be director and say, that part of the story is not clear. How do we make it clear? It's a brilliant room. And I've since worked with Sally since then. I did Mercutio with a Romeo and Juliet, and also played the White Witch for her at the Bridge. So I've worked with her a few times, and she's got this extraordinary thing where you want to work your hardest and it's exhausting. Yeah. You want to produce the best you can for her, because she's a brilliant person. So yeah, very, very proud of it. But yeah, and playing that Adele character, I should have given her polio to slow her down, but that was she was exhausted. She was exhausted. Yeah. Oh God, and the set was impossible to run. I had 23 quick changes in that show. 23? I had 27 changes, 23 of them were quick.
Oh my God.
It was absolutely insane and exhausting. But I think that I had a pedometer on me at one point, and I was like, I essentially did a half marathon. Do you know what I mean? Every night.
You could have secretly put your phone in your back pocket and just see how many steps you did.
Put a little pedometer on me. Yeah. and came up with a ridiculous amount that I was running around, just endlessly doing circuits backstage. And yeah, it was very weird to watch though, because of course I hadn't seen it. I didn't, and over lockdown, the National asked us to do a little funny skit about the running, the running in it. So put my mum's apron on and made a bonnet, and and ran in the garden, made an absolute twat of myself. But it was start lockdown, you had to cheer people up. But we did this little skits, and Mum was like, let's watch it. So we watched it, and it was very weird. And it was weird to give yourself, because there was times I was going, oh no. And I was like, don't give yourself notes on something you did a few years ago. There's nothing you can do about it. Yeah. It's like, oh, you should have done that like that. And I was like, stop it. So, but yes, I ended up crying. I was very proud of everyone.
You should, and I'm proud of yourself as well, because I remember the, oh God, is it the character who passed away quite early on in the show that you played?
Helen Burns.
Helen Burns, yeah. You had a lovely moment. For anyone who hasn't seen it, there's a lovely moment between you and Jane Eyre. And I think as you were just sort of on your last legs, and you were just sort of just about, as you say, probably giving her polio to slow her down or something like that. But she's slowly passing away, and she's telling, oh God, she's got a lovely speech about how we should be respectful to one another, or be cheerful in life. Life is not perfect, but we've got to stay close to each other and make each other feel special. And it was a lovely moment there, and I could really see that. I didn't see Laura there. I saw that character. I saw someone slipping away into the undiscovered country, and it was a beautiful moment, honestly. I know that we all do it. We all look back and stuff, and I've looked back over podcasts I've done, like with Christian and most recently Ben from GSA and stuff like that, and I think, oh God, I look at myself and I talk like this sometimes and oh shift my mouth, and I'm like, oh God, who would want to talk to that guy? but no, we all do it. But no, seriously, that was a lovely moment. You should be very proud of. Of course,
the consumption, because she dies of consumption, and I didn't want to kind of immediately, because it's always portrayed as coughing into bloody hanks and bloody hankies and all that kind of stuff. And we looked into the symptoms, and one of them is that not being able to get your breath, and I thought, that's my end. She can't. So when you first meet her, you don't get to see, there's occasional cough in the vignettes of moving and a bit of coughing, but that was the one I really, because what happens is your lungs fill up with kind of fluid, so your lungs get shallower and shallower. And that idea that's because I didn't want it to be all like, because as soon as you see someone coughing into a hanky, you're like, they're dead immediately. You're like, you're going to die. So that kind of idea of her not being able to breathe, which I could pepper in from the very start when you first meet Helen, that she has a little tick that she does because she can't quite breathe properly. But yeah, she was a gorgeous character to play. I deeply love Helen, and I wish I could be more like Helen and be as forgiving and understanding as Helen.
Obviously, without the shortness of breath bit,
Yeah, being able to breathe. Yeah, that's pretty key.
Yeah. And of course, it's the subtleness of things as well. Like it could, if you're watching a character on stage just going like, you're just thinking, oh, shush, just die already. I don't want to hear this anymore. But the subtlety really engaged with me as well, because it was that subtleness of someone the impression I got, it was someone trying to cling to life, and they know that that's out of their control now. They're knowing that this is going to let nature do its thing. And it was that slipping into the undiscovered country. But then there was also a moment of, I've only got a few moments left now, but I'm going to share with you every possible positive piece of advice that I can have. Forgive people, be happy, don't let anyone bring you down, just be happy to be you. And then just and that that's that I can see why you would love a character like that so much. I would love a character like that if I played somebody like that as well. So I suppose that brings me on to our experience on My Country, a Work in Progress at the National. Of course, we mentioned just before we came on, Rufus, and I think I mentioned this from the show with Christian as well, we all stood in the room, and then Rufus just went, okay, hello everyone, nice to see you. Okay, I'm a bit nervous because I have no fucking idea what we're going to get up to. We don't know how we're going to create this. So having you experienced what you just done with the Bristol Old Vic,
Yeah.
I mean, and then you jump back into another project where you're starting from scratch. Was it kind of a feeling of, right, here we go again, I know what I'm doing now, or like, oh God, not again? Was it? What was it?
A little bit, because of course you do kind of a show where you improvise and you write and you do that, and then just like this glorious industry is, people go, oh, that's what you do now, okay, great. So I was doing loads of stuff where it was like devising, and I was like, I don't want to devise anymore, I just want to walk in the room and someone goes, there's the entire script, there'll be a few changes, but there you are, there's your part, learn it. It's a bit like, oh God, because I'd ended up doing quite a few kind of bits and pieces and being invited for workshops for improvising and devising, and I never thought that was a particularly strong skill of mine, but yeah. But when I met Rufus, we had a chat about, he'd seen Jane Eyre, and he invited me in for a chat and said, will you play the Northeast for this thing? And I was like, what is it? He was like, I don't really know, and I've got, and I was like, okay, yeah, all right. And so that was, so I took it going, I really don't know what's going on, but I really like Rufus. I think he's a brilliant guy, and I really want to work with him. So here goes. So yeah, so there was a bit, but it was slightly different because we had people in the room helping, Caroline Duffy, she was going to be writing the script. We were giving stuff, but we weren't completely responsible entirely for the structuring of it and all that kind of stuff. That was kind of, so there was a little bit of pressure off there going, well, at least I'm not having to come up with the text, because they'd be like, well, Caroline will sort that bit out. So there was a little bit of relief going home at night and not going, right, I've got to write a scene for tomorrow, I've got to write, but it was endless work of listening to our tapes, and that was exhausting, and doing verbatim theatre and trying to copy the rhythms and the breath of a guy called Gary who works in the fish industry. Like, yeah, it was really hard, and having to trawl through, like you did, all the audio to pick bits out that were relevant. Yeah. I mean, it was hours and hours and hours of work, but I just probably looked a bit mad going in every morning, because I would have my earphones in and I'd be chuntering away to myself, and people were looking at us. I was like, we're talking down here like that. Gary from bloody weird. This job's weird.
Yeah, it was fun weird though. Yeah, I remember on the first day, oh God, I made an absolute idiot out of myself, because I was thinking, oh my God, I'm at the National, I'm going to work with Rufus Norris, and I was thinking, and then that was a good experience for me for many reasons, but it was also like, I thought Rufus was like this kind of god figure who like had people bowing down to him all the time, but then I just realized he's just a normal guy, Yeah. And he's a brilliantly talented man. I remember on the first day, I walked into the office, the director's office upstairs, I was being shown around, and then he sort of goes, and then I was just looking around and I said, oh yeah, it's really nice to be here. And I turned around, and there he was, just stood right in front of me. And I didn't really have time to think. I just went, I did one of the things, I just went, oh, it's really, really good to be here. I was from there, oh, hey, Rufus.
That's fine. He's fine.
Yeah. Fine. I remember back then, I had bleached blonde hair. I was like this. I was like all those nodding dogs you get in the car around the whole place. And oh God, I was thinking, oh God, Rufus, he's probably thinking, who the f is this guy? It's just some weird university. Never. No, but that was, what an incredible time that was. It's something I will remember for a very, very long time. And just meeting you guys, and Christian, and Cavan, and all that lot.
Still friends. See, Cavan's just about finished playing Mercutio at the Regent's Park, and I messaged him because he's been in Ireland quite a bit, but he's back in London. And I said, once things calm down, I won't get to see it. I'll miss it, unfortunately. But I was like, do you want some notes on how to play Mercutio? So we had a little Mercutio off. I was saying this, I didn't actually intend on giving him notes, but I was like, don't be shit, because I'm obviously better than you at Mercutio. Yeah. He was like, no, I'm better at. So yeah, we had a Mercutio off. of who was going to be the best Mercutio.
A plague on both your houses.
Yeah, exactly.
He could say it better, and I can just imagine you going, "No, I said it better."
Yeah, exactly. I said if I do get to see it, I'll just sit there and touch and go, "Nah, I didn't do it like that. That's rubbish." Yeah. So yeah, a really good supportive friend.
Yeah, I can just see you, like, if you were able to catch it, you'll be in the audience, just going,
yeah.
Say that no.
Oh, that was rubbish.
Yeah, and he's walking off stage, probably just his last, plague on both your houses, and you're going,
where did that go? Come on.
Yeah, threw away the most famous line probably the most famous line in the whole play, and probably one of Shakespeare's as well. So congratulations. Congratulations.
Yeah, nothing like being a supportive friend,
Oh no, definitely not. Cool. So it's so interesting to hear about the development, because devising is not my thing at all. My final show before I came to see you guys at the National, we put a piece together. I think quite similar to what you guys went through with My Country. We had a text, but it was finding the movement there to, I always find, what would Sally say about movement? So I always get that really typical drama student thing where you go, okay, symbolize a storm, and you're trying to create a storm physically without looking like a complete twat, and you're just going, we're in a storm right now. It's just like, that's not convincing. There's
a real fine line between that. There's a real fine line between it, and there were times that Jane, because we would go over and over and over stuff, like, because we did everyone's idea of going, what's the most effective, and there is a fine line from it being really good, simple storytelling to really wanky and a bit shit. So it's like, what we did is we kind of came up with a language, because what's brilliant is you can tell a shitload of a story not with words, so you can do it with movement and with music. Was a key part to that as well. And how do you do this epic story and on a stage with kind of no set, with essentially a playground as a set? And we kind of made this language between us of what tiredness was, or how would you show. So it's just endlessly doing stuff, trying it out, looking at it, going, no, that's not telling this part. Is it telling the story? And what part is it? And it, creating a storm, if you do it in one movement, if you can work out how to do, rather than like, what's one movement that says storm to you? So it was really trying to hone down. So not doing a big tableau of a storm. There's one where a whirlwind got us and we just did one movement and snapped back. And it was to be really disciplined about the move that you did. So it wasn't wishy-washy. It was very clear when we were going into those movement sections. So the traveling, for instance, we didn't want to be like miming traveling on a horse and cart, and it was like running on the spot. If you stand in a formation and you run on the spot and you have some music over it, which is about progression, and you have sound effect, then it doesn't need to be any more than that. And that's just running on the spot. And that tells you so much about travel and thingy. So you have to be quite disciplined about keep analysing and keep looking, going, is this really shit or is this good? And there were times, there's a bit in Jane Eyre which we never solved properly. We didn't solve it in Bristol, and we couldn't solve it when we redid it in London, when we were thinking it down. It's like, that will forever be a little bit of the shit bit that I always go, God, we didn't get that right. That's crap. That's still crap. So yeah, there'll always, but yeah, movement and stuff is, for me, I'd not really worked on a show in that way, because that was my first one with her and I loved it. And it was really satisfying to be able to get a story across and work it out. It's nice to be involved in the working out as well, not being told where to stand and what to do.
Yeah, and then that's your baby as a result of, I think Noe created that. It's amazing. Just a few more things today before we sort of finish. Okay, we talked about devising there, but you've also done Shakespeare, like we just mentioned the Mercutio off with Cavern. When it comes to Shakespeare, do you obey the rhythm, or do you more go for natural, more like a natural response? So do you follow the beats in the line to a T, or do you just speak it as you would speak it.
To
And
be honest, you're slightly forced into the rhythm without you. I try and keep it kind of naturalist. I mean, it used to be, I remember my dad reading Shakespeare and he'd always put on a Shakespeare voice. And I'd be like, wow, yeah.
Solid flesh.
Oh, for those of fire that would ascend the brightest heaven of invention, a kingdom for a stage, you know, all that. Yeah.
The swelling scene, yeah.
But he would put on his Shakespeare voice. And when I played, it's not Shakespeare, it's Webster, which is really slightly impenetrable, but he has rhythms. When I played Flaminio, there is a rhythm, but what I did was I naturally, how would I say it is where I start. How would I say it? What am I saying? Right, what am I saying? And how would this character say it to this person? Like, genuinely, how would I say it just in my rhythm, in my thing? And then once you've worked that out, you can do it, and then you work on, right, well, there's a gap there, where can I breathe? So especially at the RSC, you get, you know, loads of kind of help with the kind of voice work and all that kind of stuff. They've got a huge department that is there. And so you do stick to it, but that's not my first port of call. My first port of call is, what am I saying? And how do I say to someone, you know, say the line is, you've upset my entire family and I want to kill you. You know, how would I say that? And how would I mean it? And then do it that way. And then the rhythm kind of comes in anyway with the iambic. You kind of can't really get away from it, which is right, I think. And to break it up too much, the thing is, what you got to realize is he's made sense of it. He's done a lot of work and it's worked for many years. And there's no way I'm going to come in and go, but if I put a pause here, this is, you know, it's like he's done the work. I you know, I don't want to be like Laura Elphinstone knows better. But yeah, I like to put my take on it and try and make it feel like, instead of it feeling disconnected from me, that it feels very much connected, but it's within the world of the language, if you see what I mean.
That's interesting. That's so interesting. Yeah, because I always thought that if you behave the rhythm to a T, I thought you'd sound a bit like a robot, you know, like who speaks like that? But then it's, having been at drama school briefly in January and then of course going back, you know, there is meaning to that. You know, there's a reason why this rhythm is in place, because then once you speak over it, it makes sense. And then suddenly you read Shakespeare at first and you think, what's he talking about? But then suddenly when you just go over it again, you think, it's like, you clever bastard. You clever bastard.
He is a bastard. And I still struggle. I mean, every Shakespeare I'll go and see, the first 15 minutes, I'm like, I have no idea what's going on. I'm just like, what are they talking about? And then finally I go, all right, no, I'm in the world now. I understand. But first 15 minutes of a Shakespeare, even if I've seen it before, I'm like, what are they chatting on about? Yeah. So
no clue. No, I was a steward at the Globe the summer before COVID and I loved it. I can't wait to go back. But the first few minutes about the Merry Wives of Windsor or Midsummer, even though I've seen it so many times, I'm just going, I still don't know what you're talking about.
Yeah. Are we what you're chatting on about? Oh God. Oh no, Puck's here. I know what's going on.
Yeah. And they speak so quickly. I mean, don't get me wrong, if any of you guys are listening to this, you did an amazing job. But it's just like they just go and I'm going, whoa, guys. I can't.
Slow.
I know I'm here for free, but just I'm supposed to be working here, by the way, which I'm not getting paid for, by the way, because I'm being a volunteer. And it's like, mental. That's amazing. So just one last question, if I may, Laura, before I let you go. We spoke earlier about, you know, drama school, what it gives you, what it takes away and stuff like that. And we spoke just before we came on about those, even when you leave drama school, there's still, and of course, in the position you are now, you know, you've achieved so much and you've done some amazing stuff and will continue to do amazing stuff. I know that for sure. What's it like for those first few years out of drama school when you're thinking to yourself, how am I going to make this work? How did you make it work? And is it, obviously there's a physical aspect of actually going to the auditions and just turning up and talking to your agent and stuff like that. But mentally, do you have to say to yourself every day something like, I might not be where I want to be right now, but if I just keep going, I know that I'm going to do this. And you have, you know, so what were your sort of first few years like after training to?
It was really weird because I discovered in the first couple of years that this ladder system doesn't quite work in this industry. So I left drama school a bit early, and I did my first show, which was at the Royal Court. Brilliant cast. Simon Stevens wrote it. Sally Hawkins played my mum. Lee Ross was my dad. It was amazing. And it was, I thought, well, there we are. I'm off. I got a good agent. I was like, here we go. This is what I wanted. I'm getting paid to be an actor. Fine. And then I think for nearly a year after that, I didn't then work, and was like, I did like a few little bits and pieces. But then, you know, I then got employed again. I thought, right, we're back on it. And then I remember at one point I'd played a lead at the National, and I thought, this was years later, going, oh, I'm in it now. Come on, I played a lead. And no, I then didn't work. And the next time I was a maid in something else. So first of all, it's learning that this industry is really tough, and that, you know, you can be up here and you can be down there, but in a second from down here, you can be up here, but in a second you can be up here and down there. Yeah. And I worked in between. So I was a cleaner, I was a waitress, I was a teaching assistant. And to be honest, there was no other option for me. I can't do anything else to this ability. So that's kind of what kept me going. When, you know, I was cleaning other people's skid marks out of a toilet, I was a bit like, you know, I need to stay in London. I want to stay in London in order to, you know, be around the corner. You don't have to be, it's a bit different now because of, you know, all this Zoom and thingy. It's not so key to be in the midst of it. Yeah. But I wanted to be in London, and I wanted to stay. And I was like, I want to survive and build a life here. And I always remember when I signed with my agent, we talked about it. And she said to me, we're in a marathon, not a sprint. And I was like, okay, because I want to be an actor for the entirety of my life. I don't want to be a flash in the pan and it all to come and then all to go. So I just felt like each job was building. So it was part of a building block. So if I did get a job, even if it was, and the in-between jobs, I was trying to make myself happy in between, because that's the key. And I mentor at Guildhall, and one of the key things I say is make yourself happy in between work, because there's going to be a lot of time sitting in that. For some, it might not. Some people, it might just work constantly, but it's very rare. And if I think about the percentage of people in my drama school that are still working, it's like 5% of us out of our year. So it's really, it's a tough industry, and it's tough, not necessarily because those people weren't good enough. It was literally because of the mental side of just going, I can't keep on pretending that I'm all right with this, because they couldn't make themselves happy in between. I just thought, I have to build, I have to keep building. And I had ambition. I'm not ruthless with my ambition. I think I could be a bit better with that. I'm a little bit like, a little bit shy. I'm not front-footed necessarily. I'm ambitious though, and I want to work, and I want to do good work, and I want to do good work with good people. And it's just being steely and going, I can achieve this, I will. And then each job was a stepping stone into this marathon that I'm still running, and I continue to hope we'll keep running, because, you know, it'll stop tomorrow. I don't know. I'm very lucky that I've got stuff this to the end of the year. And, you know, I've had a great few years of not having to be anything else apart from an actor. You know, it's been a while now since I've had to do that, which is amazing. And a lot of people can't say that. But so I feel very lucky, and I'm always still building, and I don't ever sit back and go, oh, I've arrived now, I'll be fine. I go, okay, what's the next choice? And I'm starting to get into a position where I can slightly choose what I do now, and I might not be in that position next year. So it's a constant battle that every actor in this industry will have. Yeah. But yeah, just keeping money coming in was a big key. It was like, keep money coming in. It means I can stay here, which means I can still do auditions. It means I can still go to the theatre on a cheap night, you know. So yeah, so that was kind of survival. And also there was no other option. I was like, there's nothing else I can do. So this is all I've got. This is all I'm relatively half decent at. So, so yeah. And I didn't want to be a teacher. My mum was a teacher, and I was swore never to be a teacher. And I was surrounded by teachers growing up. So I was like, I'm not really a teacher. I can't. I haven't got I'm not good enough to have that as life. They're amazing teachers, and I'm just like, nah, can't do it.
Neither. Me neither. I can't.
Yeah.
I said that to myself when I was young as well. I can't be a teacher. I just can't. I don't have the patience.
Yeah.
Just every aspect of a teacher that you need to have. I don't have that at all. But wow, that was incredible to hear that, honestly, because you really articulated that everything that we go through, and even you, like you said, you'd be a lead at the national, but you don't know where the next job's coming from, and
Yeah.
but just keep working on it. I mean, like yourself, that has been my mentality, that I can't do anything else. I can't go get a job in an office, or I can't get a proper job, whatever that means.
Yeah.
And we're actors. It's in our heart, it's in our blood, and this is what we're put on the earth to do. And
Yeah.
we have to just keep fighting for that.
And try not to do too much stuff for free. Like, I then stopped. Yeah. I did a few bits. I did a few short films. I did, just because my camera work I needed to use them, really, just to get my head around, because in drama school I didn't do a lot of TV and film stuff. So I did a couple of kind of short film things and a couple of things on the cheap, but then I was like, no, I'm not doing free theatre. I'm not doing, because I've trained a lot for this, and I've wanted this since, and I want to get paid, and we should get paid. You don't ask a plumber around to come and fix your pipes and go, that for free because you really enjoy doing your job. It's like, no. So try not to do it. I thought I'd rather be a teaching assistant and rather be than give something like that free, even though I was desperate to act, desperate. That was another choice of going, I'll be a teaching assistant, or I'll be a waitress, or I'll work in that office where I had to research chambers of commerce. I mean, I wanted to kill myself, but I'd rather do that. I was like, oh God. But yes, try not to do too much for free, because people will then take the mickey.
Yeah. And just one very last thing, if I may, just very, very last thing.
Yeah.
How do you, like, obviously your agent works for you, and she's the one who gets you in the room, she's the one who gets you the parts. So what's the best way of working with an agent? Is it okay to actually phone them up and say, I haven't heard from you for a while, what's going on? Is there anything there for me? What's going on? Is it okay to challenge your agent sometimes?
Yeah, I mean, what the biggest key that I say to the girls that I've been mentoring is, you need to have a relationship with your agent. Yeah. That's the most important thing, because if they give a shit about you, they will put you out there for things. Yeah. And there might not be things that happen, and I can go a bit quiet when things have gone quiet, and I always get told off by my agent sometimes, but for not reaching out. It's key that you do, and now I do it. So if I'm feeling a little bit, if you've got a decent enough agent and you've got someone who is, relationship is key, even if they're smaller, if they're a bigger, relationship is what's important. So you should be able to ring up and go, do you know what, I'm really panicking, I'm feeling really crap, because they do work for you, and you're giving them money when you do work. And that includes times where I've got the job myself, but they take the money, rightly so. They have started me on this whole journey, but absolutely ring and just say things like, is there anything I can do? Is there, I've heard that this is happening. Like, the amount of times I've rung up my agent and gone, oh, my friend contacted me about this job and said there was a part for me in it. And they'll go, yes, we did put you up, but they've chosen to go, for a man to do it, or they've totally changed the remit. So, and then so you haven't gained anything because you're still not going up for the part, but it makes you go, oh, okay, they are thinking about me, or they're not thinking about me. How about, let's have a chat. What can I do to help? Is there anything I can do? Also, don't do it like every day, pick and choose your time. You don't want to send them insane, because you have to also learn to look after yourself in this industry, and not rely on someone else picking you up, because that's one of the toughest things about this job, is that you're endlessly looking for someone else to outside yourself for confirmation of who you are. Yeah. And whether you feel good about yourself is whether or not you're working, and to rely on them completely for that, I don't suggest that, but absolutely 100% you need to be able to ring your agent and say, look, I'm finding it tough at the minute. It's been a month since I've heard anything, or 2 months since I've heard anything. Is there anything I can do? Is it, and yeah, so I would say yes to that.
Absolutely, absolutely. That's so good to hear that you can challenge, obviously not annoy them, but say, look, come on, where's, we need to work together on this. We need to deal with this. And I've had a few agents before, and I've always kind of rang them up and just said, what's going on, sort of thing. But because they look after so many people, like I was part of an extras agency, because they got so many people, so it's not quite the same experience. But I would always phone them up and just say, I'm here, I'm available. So, oh yeah, we'll put you at the top of the list. We'll be in touch. And obviously not hear anything. So, but that's slightly different because that's an extra agency and not someone who looks after you on a one-to-one basis like your agent or anyone else's. So yeah, that's good to know. Yeah, so fantastic. Yeah, that was the last question. Laura, this has been so informative. This has been such a pleasure to hear your experiences. And I'm getting inside information about HBO now. This is incredible.
Mention you come up with a funny thing about your surname, you'll get a part. That's all it.
Yeah. I don't know. I think Gower's quite. God, I think it's quite unique enough anyway. But maybe I can do some like Welsh, like some research into like Welsh surnames or something like that. I'll speak to Christian and just.
Christian will be able to tell you all about that.
Yeah, he'll be like, okay, well, why don't you try this one? I said, yeah, this was nothing like my surname. And then be like, yeah, we'll get you in the room. So, okay, I trust you, but it's okay. Amazing. Yeah. So Laura, this is, and once again, thank you so much. I know you've got a mad schedule at the moment because you've got your work and, you've got stuff being done to your house at the moment and all that kind of stuff. But seriously, thank you so much for finding the time today. I really, really do appreciate it. And it's such a pleasure to talk to you again and to see you again. For this. It's been such good fun. If you just hang around after I finish the recording, I'll say goodbye to you one-to-one. But we'll leave it there. So yeah, this has been the Uncensored Critic. Thank you guys for watching. Thank you for listening. And I'll be back soon. And once again, Laura, thank you so much.
No probs.